Hello and welcome into another edition of The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm your host, Jeremy Huber, bringing you all the information from around the DMV when it comes to high school football. The penultimate week for most squads before it gets to playoff time, and some interesting results tonight. Not too many top tussles, but we did have some upsets in the top 20. Also had some big games as well. We'll get you up to date on every single one of them. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us here on The Final Drive, you got a score we don't have, go ahead and send it to us. Tweet us at DMVStream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. That's DMV Final Drive. Scheduled to join the show tonight, we will hear from the head coach of the second-ranked Damascus Swarming Hornets, Eric Wallach. His squad with a big win over Seneca Valley tonight, 21-3, to stay up at the top of the polls. We'll also check in today with the head coach of the Richard Montgomery Rockets, Josh Klotz, his team with a big win to clinch the team's first playoff berth in 10 years as they beat Gaithersburg tonight. Also coming up on the show, scheduled to join us, will be Trey Taylor, head coach of the South Lakes Seahawks, his team with a big win in Conference 6 play and helping solidify a playoff spot as they beat Hayfield, blew them out on the Hawks' home field. Also joining us tonight will be the legendary Tom Verbanek, the former head coach of Fairfax and Westfield. Of course, he's at Flint Hill. His squad with a big game tomorrow in MAC play as they take on Murray. We'll hear from Coach Verbanek tonight as well. But first, want to go ahead and run down what's going on, what happened tonight in the top 25. We start at the very top with Gonzaga. They did not play tonight. They ended up having they're off until tomorrow when they'll go ahead and face Carroll in a 2 o'clock start. Number 2, Damascus, big win tonight as they beat Seneca Valley 21-3. Swarming Hornets, Jake Funk runs for 262 yards on 40 carries. The game only took 2 hours and 5 minutes to play. Of course, big news there. Linganore, the squad that is currently ahead of Damascus in their region. Of course, Swarming Hornets may jump over Linganore. Linganore did win tonight, but probably with the power of that win over Seneca Valley, would expect the Swarming Hornets to vault atop then, at least considering that Damascus had the dubious honor currently of being the second team in all of the DMV and the Washington Post All-Met Sports Poll, but they were only second in their region. That should change after tonight. Tonight, it was number 3, Lake Braddock. They had a matchup tonight with Mount Vernon. Bruins were really blowing that one out earlier in the night. The final score, I believe, just coming in as Lake Braddock with a big win tonight as they took down in their game a big 63-0 win over Mount Vernon. So Lake Braddock going into their big matchup with South County, they're doing just fine. 63-0 as Lake Braddock takes down Mount Vernon. Number 4, South County may have struggled a little bit in front of their matchup with Lake Braddock next week. Maybe a bit of a letdown as they were close with West Potomac into the second half, but South County blew it open late, 53-20. Stallions looking very good as, again, they'll face off with number 3, Lake Braddock, a top 5 matchup that will be for their district championship in Conference 7 next week. Number 5, DeMatha, easy one tonight against O'Connell. They beat the Knights 49-7. Number 6, Old Mill, a big win tonight over Meade, 49-6. They have Annapolis next week. Annapolis, of course, just one loss on the season. Number 7, Wise, again, looking like the powerhouse in PG County, beating Bladensburg 35-0. Number 8, Tuscarora had a bye. They're at number 15, Broad Run, next week, though that game getting a little more interesting after tonight. We'll tell you in just a second. Number 9, Westfield at Herndon, or hosting Herndon tonight. Don't have a score in from that one. We believe that one was played tonight. If you have that score, go ahead and send it to us again at DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Number 11, Quince Orchard all over Whitman tonight, 48-18. Number 12, St. John's there taking on McNamara tomorrow at 2 p.m. start. Number 13, Howard, a win over Glenelg, 26-7. Of course, Howard right now doing a little bit of scoreboard watching as they're looking for the possibly to grab the top seed in 4A North. Of course, they're behind Sherwood and Bel Air. Howard currently third despite their 8-0 record. Paint Branch just behind them in fourth with Mervo and Perry Hall all a little bit farther down the rankings. Bel Air with a win tonight, though one of those schools, I believe Perry Hall, falling, so may help Howard a little bit, making sure them get in. But again, they're going to probably have to win out just to make sure that they're even in the playoffs, despite a possible undefeated season. Number 14, Sherwood beat Kennedy tonight, 41-14. Again, Bel Air was behind them in the rankings. Sherwood with the win, Bel Air with the win as well, but looks like that Sherwood, at least for another week, will stay atop the 4A North rankings. Number 15, Broad Run, upset tonight. Again, they fell to Stonebridge a few weeks ago. They fall to Robinson tonight, 31-20. This one, I believe, was 31-7 at one point. Broad Run getting a few touchdowns in the second half to pull closer, but the Rams get a big win tonight over Broad Run to kind of push themselves up the rankings a little bit. Number 16, Duval. They're at facing off with Bowie tomorrow at 2 p.m. Number 17, North Point. They'll take on Huntingtown tomorrow. Actually, they beat Huntingtown tonight, 36-10. Number 18, Episcopal at St. Albans, 1 o'clock tomorrow. Number 19, Good Counsel. They remain with a win over St. Mary's tonight, 28-7. Rounding out the top 20, it was number 20, Champ, as they beat Loudoun County tonight by a score of 43-6. That is your look at the top 20 in the All-Met Sports Poll. Joined now by the head coach of the second-ranked Damascus Swarming Hornets, Eric Wallach. His team with a big win tonight over number 10-ranked Seneca Valley, 21-3. Coach, first off, congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Want to get into the performance by Jake Funk, but obviously got to talk about your defense first. They hold a very good Seneca Valley team to 3 points. Again, what were you guys doing on the defensive end to hold them down like you did?
Well, first of all, our defensive line is very good. So they were able to kind of limit the runs. And from there, our secondary was able to just kind of limit the big plays. And, we were trying to bend but don't break. And they had a couple snaps that went over their heads. And, that kind of killed some drives for them, which is always a bonus when that happens. But overall, we did a pretty good job shutting down the run. And we had a bunch of guys in coverage, so we could limit the passing game that they'd like to do.
And I know from looking at the notes of the game, you guys played this thing in 2 hours, so really the clock was controlled. Was there any concern on your all's part to have this game played at your pace? I know they like to push the tempo sometimes. Was there any question about that? You guys saying, hey, let's make sure we're playing this the way we like to play?
Well, actually, we actually wanted to go faster because we thought we had an advantage with the depth on our team. And so, we thought we could tire them out a little bit. But once the score got to be what it was, and then we just wanted to run the clock. So we tried to just, go slow and snap the ball with not much time left on the play clock and things like that, and just run the clock and get out of there with a win. And
you talk about that, Coach. And the final stat line, at least reported tonight for Jake Funk, 262 on 40 carries. It's funny. Do you almost say to yourself, I bet this is what Joe Gibbs used to feel like with John Riggins? I mean, it just seemed like it was grinded out football for you guys tonight. Was that the case?
Yeah, it was. It was probably a pretty boring game to watch. There wasn't a lot of big plays. But sometimes games go like that. And, we know we got to kind of ride him, and we thought, anytime you're feeding him at any point, something can pop, and we were hoping that would happen. And we didn't really have any major, huge, long runs, but, he had a lot of, 10, 15-yard runs. I think he averaged, like 6 or 7 yards a carry, which is good.
And I'm assuming you felt good with your offensive line's performance tonight?
Yeah. Anytime you can control the line of scrimmage and run, like we did, they must have been doing something right. When we watch the film, you can, really see how they did. I think Seneca did a nice job. I don't think we did as good as we could have. Let's put it that way. I thought we would be able to open it up a little bit more, but they did a nice job tonight, yes.
Talking to Eric Wallach, the head coach of the second-ranked Damascus Swarming Hornets, his team with a big win over number 10 Seneca Valley tonight, 21-3. Coach, you move forward after this when you take on a game Blair team, one that might be fighting for their playoff lives, and then you move into the playoffs. How do you kind of move forward off this big victory as there's still a lot more football that should be left to be played for your squad?
Yeah, win or lose this game really didn't mean that much. There's a good chance we could see them either way in 2 weeks, and we know Blair's is going to be a tough game, and they're going to give us everything they have, and they're well coached. So, this one, we have a 24-hour rule here at Damascus, and it's, enjoy it or not enjoy it. I'm sorry, win or lose, we only enjoy it for 24 hours, and so we're going to enjoy this one for 24 and then start getting ready for Blair.
Coach, I don't know if you know yet, but Linganore did win tonight. Coming into the week, they were ranked higher than you guys in the PowerPoints, but it appears to me, and I'm no scholar on this stuff, but with the power of your win tonight, your power of your win over Blair, you guys, is it from what you've gathered, if you guys win out, will you guys be the top seed in your region, or do you have any idea on that?
That's what I've been told, but I'm not a mathematician. I leave it up to those guys, and that's what I've been told, that we will be the one seed, and we hope we are, so we can get home field. It's a great place to play here, especially in the playoff environment.
And one last one, we'll get you out on this, Coach. Let's get back quickly to Jake Funk. A couple weeks ago, he did commit to Maryland. Seems like he's very proud about that commitment. Obviously, you're around him all the time. Can you talk about a little bit, at least from the outside looking in, why he chose to become a Terp?
Well, I think, once they made the coaching change, that it just kind of seemed like a fresh start for the program, and it's a good situation for him at running back, because what they have returning is they don't have a lot of depth there at running back, so he thought that he would have a good chance to get playing time, if not the first year, soon after. And he just kind of liked what the new, the coaching staff was saying. They had a nice recruiting class. I think he would like to stay close to home so his family can come see him and his friends and, coaches and things like that. And it just seemed to fit. I think kids, when they're getting recruited, they're getting pulled in a million different directions. But when they find that coaching staff that, it just gels, it just feels right. All of them have told me that over the years. It just felt right, and I think that's where he's at.
Well, obviously, he's been able to keep his focus on what you guys are doing at Damascus with a big performance tonight, a 21-3 win over Seneca Valley. Damascus head coach Eric Wallach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Coach Wallach's team again moving to 9-0 on the season. Some big wins on their plate. Of course, they've got Blair next week. Should be a tough game, but you'd have to think Damascus, the way they played all year long, should be game for that as they'll move into the playoffs and again finish just one win short of a state championship last year. I'm sure this year Jake Funk and company going to be looking to go ahead and bring home that state championship to the Swarmin' Hornets. We're going to be back right after this with more of the final drive coming up. We'll hear from Richard Montgomery head coach Josh Klotz, his team clinching a playoff berth for the first time in a decade with a win over Gaithersburg tonight. Also get you up to date on more scores. Stay tuned. It's all coming up right here on the final drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks in the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on the final drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber here with you, running down the scores, talking to the coaches from the big games tonight. Already chatted with Eric Wallach, head coach of Damascus, his team with the big win over Seneca Valley tonight. Also in the top 20, Broad Run upset by Robinson. Those are your two main tidbits from the top 20 tonight. Let's continue our rundown of the scoreboard. Let's get over into D.C. Ballou with a win tonight, a close one over Anacostia, 14-12. Wilson also a close one tonight against Coolidge. Tigers win that one, but only 14-6. Those two looking like they could be on a collision course for a Turkey Bowl matchup. Of course, Wilson yet to lose in DCIA play. Of course, the Ballou, though, dropped one to H.D. Woodson last week, so they may have to say something about it as well as we move through. Bell, big win over Cardozo tonight, 42-6. McKinley over Phelps, 23-12. Eastern a little closer than expected as they beat Theodore Roosevelt 14-12. In the D.C. public charter schools, a big win tonight for Cesar Chavez, a big matchup between they and KIPP. Chavez wins that one in overtime, 12-6. Private school action, Riverdale Baptist over Pilati, 35-18. Terrell Blunt had 4 touchdowns for the Crusaders. Bullis over St. Stephen St. Agnes tonight, 34-20. Maryland Public Schools tonight, of course, the big win coming for Richard Montgomery as they were able to go ahead and take down Gaithersburg tonight, 28-21. As the Rockets lock up their first playoff berth in 10 years, as they're able to go ahead and get the win tonight over the Trojans. We'll talk to their coach, Josh Klotz, in just 1 second. We'll hear from him. Elsewhere in Maryland tonight, Oakland Mills, big win over Athelton, 40-0. Bethesda Chevy Chase beat Walter Johnson 34-0. Watkins Mill going a long way to clinching a playoff spot as they beat Blake tonight 42-33. Chesapeake over Southern 49-19. Chopticon over Leonardtown 41-14. Wooten a big win over Churchill 31-12. Northwest blew out Clarksburg, that is, 35-0. Northwest could be looking at a playoff date against Richard Montgomery, who they beat earlier this year, despite the fact they're ranked lower in the region. Blair over Einstein tonight, 41-0. Annapolis over Glen Burnie, 48-8. Panthers reportedly qualifying for a 4A East playoff berth. They get Old Mill next week. St. Charles over Great Mills, 42-0. It was River Hill over Hammond, 35-0. Lackey over La Plata, 33-26. Gwynn Park beats Largo, 24-12. Lions take their second straight loss, and they may be in danger of missing the playoffs now after running out to a 7-0 start. Marriott's Ridge, big win over Mount Hebron tonight, 42-0. North County over Northeast, 33-0. McDonough over Northern tonight, 28-25. Elsewhere, Paint Branch gets back on the winning track as they beat Northwood 54-17. We talked about some of the wins around them that were important. Perry Hall losing very well could help Paint Branch make sure they lock up a playoff berth. And really kind of perilous as they were in the 4th position in their region coming into the night. Reservoir, big win over Longreach, 53-14 as the Gators continue their good season. Arundel, big over South River, 55-20 as Arundel tries to get into the playoffs, keep their streak alive. Aberdeen, big over Springbrook tonight, 42-18. Thomas Stone beat Patuxent 24-14. Calvert, a winner over Westlake, 15-12. Calvert and Thomas Stone both getting big smack wins there. It was Wild Lake over Centennial by a score of 35-17. Joined now by the head coach of the Richard Montgomery Rockets, Josh Klotz. His team with a big win tonight, clinching a playoff berth for the first time in 10 years. knocking off Gaithersburg 28-21. Josh, first off, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. I know you guys have a pretty good offense, but your defense coming up large by what we were told, our research staff figuring out that you guys 2 late stands in this one by your defense to kind of salt things away and give you the win. Talk about the defensive performance coming up big late in the game.
Yeah, I'm proud of our defensive staff and of our defensive players. They had their backs against the wall a couple times late in the game, had to overcome a couple penalties. And, a couple times when the offense just couldn't finish some drives. So, our kids talked in the off season about handling pressure situations better and preparing for pressure situations in the off season. And our defense definitely faced a bunch tonight, and through their hard work and preparation, they were able to take care of business.
Coach, obviously 3 phases of the game always are big. You guys block a punt tonight for a touchdown, I believe. Talk about the big special teams play.
Yeah, that was I believe it was their first punt of the game, first score of the game. And Ty Hadron recovered. I heard from 3 kids who said they blocked it, so we'll have to see on film. We actually blocked it, but yeah, I mean a big shift of momentum, of course, to make that play early. But hey, Gaithersburg came right back, put the pressure back on us. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown. I think that was the score that tied it back up at 14, 21, 1 and 2. I think 14. But Gaithersburg did a good job coming back from that momentum shift, and then our kids were able to swing back and be resilient, and then our backs were up against the wall too.
Coach, you guys have some offensive weapons. I know it starts with your quarterback, just a young guy in Silverman, Silverstein, excuse me. He's done some real good things. You got some other weapons on that offensive side. Talk about what your offense has brought to the table tonight and what it's brought to the table all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately for us is the secret's out about Daniel Alexander after his last couple of games here. But he's our go-to guys, our best receiver, and great players make great plays in big games, and he's come through against a very good Clarksburg team last week and a very good Gaithersburg team tonight, making plays throughout the game, but especially in the fourth quarter. Our final offensive drive, we were backed up. I think it was 3rd and 12 in our own territory, and we threw a hitch to him, and he made a play 1-on-1, broke the tackle, and picked up probably about a 30, 40-yard gain to extend that drive and help wind down the clock. So in critical situations, he's been coming up big. And, that makes life a little bit easier for our sophomore quarterback, Spencer Silverstein, when he does have somebody outside that he can trust, like Daniel.
Joined by Josh Klotz, the head coach of the Richard Montgomery Rockets. His squad with a big win over Gaithersburg tonight, 28-21 to clinch their first playoff berth since 2005. Coach, how has it felt, obviously, just you and also the kids themselves? I'm sure you've seen all kinds of celebrations tonight. How has everyone taken it, this big win to get into the playoffs for the first time in a decade?
I mean, I think we're certainly excited for the opportunity that we've created for ourselves. And the kids know that, it wasn't just showing up tonight and then beating Gaithersburg, but it was from months and months of hard work during the off season to put themselves in the position that they are now. So, proud of our kids and how hard they worked to get to this point, and they learned that hard work pays off and it's fun. So, proud especially of our seniors who have put up with the last 2 years were pretty tough on all of us. A lot of close losses. And kids, were resilient, kept coming back, worked harder than ever in the off season, and put themselves right where they wanted to be to have meaningful games here, weeks 8, 9, 10, and now the postseason.
Most definitely. Now, moving forward, looking at the playoff picture, we can do that at least because you guys are in. You do have the one last game, but you've got your old school, Quince Orchard, also got Northwest likely going to be in there as well. You may see one or both of them if you move through the playoffs. Are you guys battle-tested and ready for teams like that who kind of a little more used to this than maybe your Rockets are?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as far as, none of our players have experienced the playoffs yet. But I think in a way that's a positive thing that they have this, youthful exuberance, this first time feelings, excitement that's hard to match. And they're not complacent of just having a playoff berth. Their focus next week, I know, is going to be on Randallstown, a very athletic team out from Baltimore County, who we have some film on, but haven't had a history with. So I know that this week they're excited about the playoffs, but they'll prepare as they have the last couple weeks, just getting better as a team. And I think the way they've been practicing, that they know we just need to continue getting better. We got better enough to beat Clarksburg, and we got better enough this past week to beat Gaithersburg. Hopefully we get better enough to beat Randallstown, and then hopefully keep working to get better enough to beat whoever we play in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, Coach Klotz, enjoy this one tonight. It hadn't been 10 years since it's happened. You've done a good thing there, and I'm sure all of everyone at Richard Montgomery very appreciative. Josh Klotz, head coach of the Richard Montgomery Rockets, his team with a big win tonight over Gaithersburg to clinch a playoff spot. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
And Coach Klotz and company very happy with that win tonight as they beat Gaithersburg to go ahead and lock up a berth in the Maryland playoffs. Again, may see some tough ones, as I referenced, as they'll take on, may see Quince Orchard, may see Northwest, but at this point, I'm sure they're very happy just to be in the dance. Coming up after this, we'll check in with the head coach of the South Lake Seahawks, Trey Taylor, his team with a big win tonight over Hayfield. Also, we'll run down all the scores from Virginia. Before we go to break, though, want to let you know we do have a score in finally from that matchup between Westfield and Herndon. Bulldogs, big win as expected. They knock off Herndon 48-17. Remember, if you got a score that we don't have, go ahead and tweet it to us at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone. As well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks in the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Want to get in touch with us? Do it via Twitter at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV final drive. Joined now by the head coach of the South Lake Seahawks, Trey Taylor. His team with an impressive win tonight against Hayfield, their conference rival, 35-14. The Seahawks go ahead and get the job done. Coach Taylor, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you very much.
Going back in this one, it appears that the big play in this contest came from Marvin Grunchy. Returns an interception for you guys right before the half after Hayfield had gotten an onside kick. Do you feel that was the big momentum changer for you guys, or at least the momentum keeper maybe?
Oh, absolutely. Going into the half there, they did a great job on the onside kick, got it back, and then Marvin came up with an incredible interception there, and not only stopped their drive, but turned around and put points on the board for us. So we went from the possibility of being tied up at 21 at the half to having a 28-14 lead.
And eventually you kind of pull it open and blow it a little bit more. Devin Miles had a big game for you guys tonight, 3 touchdown passes. Talk about his performance in the matchup.
He just continues to impress. I mean, last week he throws for almost 500. He's a sophomore. We didn't expect this kind of production out of him at this early age, and he blows us away every week with the things he learns. And you tell him one time, and he knows it like he knew it forever. He really impresses us with both mental and physical capabilities.
How do you go about getting a sophomore ready to play in a good league like yours with some quality teams?
Devin, luckily for us, is a football guy. He also plays basketball here at the school, but he loves football, and he grew up playing football, so he has a lot of background in it, and that just kind of made it easy to take his foundation and build on top of it what we want to do. I mean, we run some option where he's making those decisions on the field, and then on top of the reads in the passing game, just what he's been able to do from a mental standpoint, never mind a physical standpoint, has really been impressive.
Coach Trey Taylor, head coach of the South Lake Seahawks, big win tonight over Hayfield, 35-14. You guys have had a bit of a turnaround there under your leadership in Reston. South Lake's not always known as a big-time football program, but you guys have played some very good ball this year, some impressive wins and some impressive games kind of throughout the season. How you feel this program is coming along under your leadership?
I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I feel like we still have a lot of things we could do better and a lot of things we need to improve on. But I feel like the kids are understanding what the expectations are. And we had a lot of talk in the off season after the disappointing season last year of what we needed to do to be the type of team we want to be. And the kids have responded well. They've done what we asked them to do in the off season in the weight room and putting in the time there, and they've also responded on the practice field this year, and we didn't always have that last year. So they really have kind of clung to this idea that, if we go in here and we work, we can play football, and I think it's translating to the field this year.
Coach, you had the disappointing loss against Madison a few weeks ago, maybe not losing to a good Warhawks team, but losing the way you did. Did you see maybe a reset in your kids' eyes to say, hey, this is the way we have to play if we want to accomplish our goals? We can't play like we did that night.
Yeah, I think we absolutely shirked under the bright lights a little bit. I think that was kind of our first, big matchup type game where you had two teams that were doing well playing, and there was something on the line, and I don't think we responded well. I think Madison played a great game. I think we could have played better. And then I don't think we started the Langley game very well, but I think the 99-yard drive there at the end of the Langley game to win that, I think that kind of reestablished our thought process that we have the ability to win these games, and we just need to go out and play it one play at a time.
Wrapping this one up, Coach, obviously you guys appear headed for a good playoff spot because you move forward, but again, you'll be in a very tough region when you talk about all the powerhouse type teams in that region in the 6A North. Talk about moving into that, and how do you get your team ready? Again, you've coached all over the region, you know it pretty well, different schools in different areas. How do you get your team ready to play that type of football where you're coming up against some very, very tough teams if you want to move ahead and accomplish your goals?
Well, I think that will be the challenge is getting them ready to play in that environment. We don't have, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago as a 16 seed and played that tough Centerville team. And most of those kids were, freshmen, sophomores. They didn't even dress out or have any experience. So I think we think there's a lot we need to do to teach them what playoff football is about and how it's a little bit different than regular season. And it's, the upside of this region is, like you said, you could be a 3 seed and playing still a very tough team or an 8 seed. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Anybody could beat anybody any given week. And being a higher seed doesn't necessarily mean you're safe by any means. So, we'll worry about Fairfax this week, and then we'll see where the chips fall, and then we'll see what we do from there.
And Coach, I got one more for you before we get you out of here. Your defense tonight against what has been a pretty high-powered Hayfield offense, you guys hold them in check. I got to give you a quick chance to brag on your guys on the defensive side of things.
Oh, they absolutely won the game for us. I think defense and special teams were the difference in the game this evening. And I think, we didn't play well against Madison. We gave up a lot of long passes. We didn't play well against Langley, and they certainly put up a lot of points. And I thought the kids bounced back and responded well this week. I mean, Rawson is an incredible athlete, and we just had, film after film with him running all over people. And that was certainly a focal point of ours, is trying to control him tonight. And I thought, for the most part, the kids did a pretty good job of keeping him bottled up and keeping him from making big plays. And that was kind of our philosophy going in, was if they're going to beat us, make them beat us with somebody else besides him. And so that's what we tried to take away.
Yeah, talking about Miles Ross, you guys able to do a good job of it, 35-14. And really, Coach, the one good thing about this, or many good things about this, you keep yourself alive for a possible district title. Of course, you got to root for the team you just beat to pull the upset next week, correct?
Yeah, losing to Madison took it all out of our hands. But, we're just focused on the next opponent, and we'll, I'm sure Fairfax is going to come in here playing hard, and we're going to try and get ready for them.
Well, obviously, it's good to at least still have a shot at it as you go into the season's final week. Trey Taylor, head coach of the South Lake Seahawks, big win tonight over Hayfield. Thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And, of course, Coach Taylor's squad are really doing a good job in Reston. Good, not real, no more as a basketball school over the years than it has been a football school. But again, his squad doing some good things. Only 2 losses on the season. One of them coming to Briarwoods in a real close game at home. Of course, Briarwoods well documented their struggles on the year, but the Falcons, again, most of their losses coming to teams who are highly ranked in the area. So no slouch losing to them, and then also the loss to Madison last week. So again, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. So again, that South Lakes team probably going to make some noise when it comes through, depending on what type of seed they get. They came into the night currently 10th out of 16, but I think they'll move up just a little bit. We'll talk about Madison in just a second. They had an interesting game tonight. We'll go ahead and get to that as we run down the rest of the scores, getting to your Virginia action here on the final drive. Want to let you know that in Virginia, we start with Dominion and Heritage. No, Centerville and Chantilly. We'll start with that one, as Centerville gets a win tonight, kind of helps stop the bleeding a bit with them, as they, again, are kind of on the cusp of the playoffs. Both Centerville and Chantilly were on the cusp of playoff spots coming into the night, and Centerville helps bolster their case a little bit with a 37-20 win over rival Chantilly. Elsewhere, Liberty beat Brentsville 47-14. It was Dominion handing Heritage their 3rd straight loss. Titans beat the Pride 27-21. Heritage kind of scheduled issues with their schedule. They fell big to a rugged Woodgrove team, and then losing 2 straight by a touchdown to Champ and Dominion. They've lost 3 in a row. Edison over Lee tonight, 35-20. It was Oakton over Falls Church, 41-7. Forest Park beat Garfield 29-8. Elsewhere, Freedom of South Riding over Riverside, 56-16. Hilton over Riverbend in a close one tonight, 31-28. Of course, the Hilton and Forest Park will face off in a big one next week. Loudon Valley, close one against Parkview, 40-29. Madison, a closer than expected one tonight against Washington Lee. As Coach Taylor kind of referred to, Madison has it all in their own hands. Almost let that slip away tonight if they would have lost to Washington Lee, but instead the Warhawks hold on for a 21-13 road win. George Mason, a big win tonight as they beat Madison County 42-27. Mustangs having a pretty good year down in 2A. Kettle Run over Manassas Park 48-14. Elsewhere, it was McLean over Fairfax 27-14. Patriot beat Osborne Park 44-23. Brook Point over Potomac of Virginia 14-12. It was Stonebridge erasing a 17-0 deficit, coming back to beat Potomac Falls 20-17. You look at Potomac Falls on the year, and they've been one of the hard luck squads so far this season, as the Panthers have had a pretty good year, but it could have been much better with just a little bit of luck on their side, as Potomac Falls this season have gone ahead. They drop one. Their first loss of the year came to Broad Run. That was a pretty impressive win by Broad Run, 28-7. But then Panthers lose one to Tuscarora, who's ranked in the top 10. Actually had the lead until very late in the game when a long touchdown pass gave the Huskies the win. Then Stonebridge, they lead them by 17-0 in the first half. And Bulldogs come all the way back to beat the Panthers. I believe that would have been Potomac Falls' first ever win over Stonebridge. Could be wrong. They could have got one maybe in Stonebridge's first year, but it has been a long time since the Panthers have beat the Bulldogs. Almost pulled it off tonight, but did not. Aforementioned Woodgrove went over Rock Ridge tonight, 63-0. South Lakes, as we said, talking to Coach Taylor, they beat Hayfield 35-14. Devin Miles with 3 touchdown passes. Battlefield, big win over Stonewall Jackson tonight, 47-16. Annandale shuts out TC Williams 21-0. Adams looking for a playoff berth. Wakefield, big over Jefferson tonight, 42-0. It was Woodbridge over Freedom of Woodbridge, 47-36. Vikings look like they're going to have a playoff berth. Elsewhere, it was Langley over Yorktown, 48-23. And maybe the shocker of the night, or maybe the best score of the night, depending on how you are looking at things. Of course, the fire earlier today at WT Woodson injuring, believe at last count, 5 students and a teacher. Well, the Woodson football team coming up with a big win tonight. Maybe in honor of those guys, is they knock off West Springfield 35-28. Woodson kind of dealing with a tough season already this year, so obviously maybe honoring their teammates tonight by a great performance, as Woodson goes ahead and gets the win over West Springfield 35-28. Again, Woodson only their second win of the year, and third win of the year, They beat Mount Vernon last week and had a win over Fairfax early in the year, but pretty good West Springfield team. They're able to go ahead and knock them off. Of course, West Springfield struggling a little bit over the last few weeks after Peter Musket, their quarterback, was banged up. But Woodson goes ahead and gets the win by a count again tonight of 35-28. Big day for the for WT Woodson after what was really a tough morning. They get a nice win for their school, their entire student body. I'm sure really appreciative of that win by the football team tonight over West Springfield. We're going to take one more quick break. We'll be back right after this. We will hear from the head coach of the Flint Hill Huskies. That would be Tom Verbanek, the legendary Tom Verbanek. We'll hear from him in just a bit. Also, we'll get you up to date on what's going on tomorrow. A lot of games on the slate for tomorrow, and we may take a quick look at the PowerPoints in both Virginia and Maryland. Stay tuned for every single bit of that. It's coming up right here on The Final Drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of the Final Drive. For more information about advertising on the Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. In just a second, we will hear from the head coach of the Flint Hill Huskies, the legendary Tom Verbanek, talking about his team's matchup with Murray tomorrow. Also, we'll be talking a little bit about his career in the area, again, with such a wonderful career. Time spent at Westfield, some state championships there, also some very successful years at Fairfax High School as well. Let's go ahead and run down the slate for tomorrow. A lot of big games tomorrow up on tap. Starts at noon. Poolesville will take on Magruder tomorrow at 12. Also 12, big one, as H.D. Woodson hosts Dunbar. Those two teams, again, jockeying for a position possibly in playoffs in the DCIA, looking for a spot in the Turkey Bowl. Severn School will be at St. Mary's of Annapolis tomorrow. That 8 noon start as well. 1 o'clock starts for John Paul the Great as they host Bishop Sullivan. Of course, JPG trying their best to get a high spot in the VISA playoffs. That's the Virginia private schools. Friendship Collegiate hosting Brooklyn Poly as Collegiate looking to get themselves kind of their feet under them as they are going to go ahead and be looking forward to the DC State playoffs, where they'll likely have a matchup with Gonzaga coming up. Them or St. John's, either one going to be a tough one for Collegiate. Annapolis Area Christian hosting Concordia Prep at 1 tomorrow. Also big one for Episcopal as they look to stay unblemished as they are at St. Albans. Georgetown Prep at Landon. Of course, Episcopal and Georgetown Prep with wins. That would set up a big game between the two next week, likely for the IAC title. Elsewhere at 1:30, Sidwell Friends hosting St. James. Another 1 o'clock game tomorrow as Broadneck hosts Severna Park. 2 o'clock starts tomorrow. A lot of those. Potomac, Maryland, big one for them as they host High Point. McNamara goes to St. John's. Big contest there for St. John's, looking to have a good spot in the WCAC. Northwestern is at Laurel tomorrow. C.H. Flowers hosting Parkdale also at 2. All these matchups at 2 o'clock. Bishop Ireton hosting Paul VI at 2 o'clock. Also, Rockville will be hosting will be at Wheaton tomorrow. Eleanor Roosevelt hosting Suitland in a big game when it comes to playoff positioning. I mean, getting into the playoffs as well. Douglas will host Surrattsville tomorrow, what could be an important one. Bowie goes to Duval. That one big. Again, Bowie on the outside looking at the playoffs. Duval trying to go ahead and make sure they have a playoff spot despite the injury, the season-ending injury to their All-Met quarterback, Antoine Brooks. Gonzaga looks to stay perfect as they host Carroll tomorrow at 2. Central goes to Fairmont Heights at 2. Crossland hosting Forestville at 2. Friendly at Oxon Hill tomorrow at 2 as Friendly looks to lock up a playoff berth, get in there. A lot of good teams in Friendly, I believe, in 2A right now. And Friendly, again, going to be a tough one, but a lot of good teams from the SMAC that they're going up against. But, of course, their big win last week as they knocked off Largo. Big for the Patriots to go ahead and get a win. Spalding at Delaware Valley Charter tomorrow. And the late game tomorrow, a 5 o'clock start for Murray and Flint Hill. Had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Flint Hill Huskies. That would be Tom Verbanek. I had a chance to check in with him yesterday, talk about his team's matchup coming up against Murray. By the head coach, the Flint Hill Huskies, Tom Verbanek. Coach Verbanek, obviously your team having a pretty good season this year. We'll get into that in just a second, but having on a legend of your status when it comes to high school football in the D.C. metro area, got to ask you, you had so much success at Westfield, of course, also at Fairfax before that. Now you're at Flint Hill. Obviously, really different situations, at least from the outside looking in. Can you kind of compare and contrast for me the two situations going from big-time public school to where you are now at Flint Hill?
Well, it's definitely been interesting. That's one thing. But the great thing is you're still working with kids, and football's a sport that one of the few things we have left where it's great. It's a team sport, and you can teach a whole lot of things other than football also about the way things should be done and teamwork and all that good stuff. But probably the biggest challenge has been getting used to the numbers. Obviously, at Westfield, at one time we had over like 225 kids in the program, and at Flint Hill, obviously, that's about the same number of boys in the whole school. But the one thing is, it's still high school football, and it's still with great kids, and the kids at Flint Hill are great. They work as hard as they can work, and it's been a good experience, and kind of makes you have to change your way of doing things a little bit as a coach also.
Let's get to your team now, a Huskies team that's playing some pretty good football right now, and one of the guys kind of stirring the drink for you, the freshman, the running back, Jordan Houston, doing some really good things. Talk about him and what he's been able to do for the team this year.
Well, Jordan stepped into a role because we didn't have much coming back at running back, and he has stepped up. He's a very talented young man. I'd love to take credit for everything. That's just not the case. He does. He has some very good natural instincts. One of my best compliments for him is that he has done a great job of learning things and starting to understand schemes that we use and things like that. And the other thing is and he understands and is the first one to tell you that a lot of it depends on how our offensive line blocks, and also if we can throw the ball and how our quarterback's playing and all that, so that things open up for him a little bit. But as a youngster, as a freshman, I think that he sees things very well, and he's a quick learner at understanding schemes and what to expect.
Coach, this week you've got a matchup with Murray. It looked like it was going to be a matchup of teams that were unbeaten in MAC play, but of course they had they kind of blew the big lead against Sidwell Friends, but still a good Frogs football team. Talk about what concerns you a bit about Murray.
Well, you're exactly right. They are a very good football team. Obviously, it starts with their quarterback. He is he is multi-talented. I mean, he's the epitome of what people are looking for at quarterback. He's got great quickness, great speed, runs the ball very well, but yet throws it almost as well. And he puts a tremendous amount of pressure on defense. And the other thing is they had some young kids last year who were big kids. They're linemen who were big kids who were young, who have grown up another year, and they do a great job in their scheme and put a lot of pressure on you because of their size also.
Of course, you're talking about Garrison Burnett there, standout quarterback at Murray, a good player for them. Of course, everybody, some good players in the MAC. Now, Coach, we're going to wrap things up with talking about, obviously, you guys, after conference play, you're looking to win the conference championship, but also there's the VISA playoffs. Possibly you guys could get into. You're sitting at number 5 right now behind a St. Christopher's team that has a tough matchup with Woodbury Forest this weekend, so maybe a chance to make some headway there. Is that obviously the goal there, to maybe kind of get your way in there and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you always look at that. We have a whole philosophy of our most important game is the one we're playing right now. And so, you always look to the future because having future goals are great also, but we can't get to that step until we try to do as best we can to take care of business where we are. And so, that'll work out how it does. Right now, we have to play Murray, and if we somehow are able to get by them, then we have to play Sidwell. And, those two things are way more important right this second.
Well, Coach Verbanek, you've had some great programs before, great teams before. Hopefully this one is another one for you. Again, thanks for joining us on the show.
All right. Thank you very much.
Tom Verbanek, head coach of Flint Hill. That interview actually was edited down a little bit for time. If you want to hear the complete interview with Coach Verbanek, that's actually available on DMV Stream. It's up on the blog section. Just kind of navigate your way through there. And we talked about a few more things, talked a little bit more in depth about the offense and his defense. Also talked about his 200th win, that milestone that he passed in September, a couple other things as well. So again, if you want to hear the complete interview with Tom Verbanek, head coach of Flint Hill, and of course previously head coach at Westfield and at Fairfax, you can hear that at DMV Stream in the blog section, DMVSTREAM.COM. Go ahead and check that out. It's worth a listen. Going to do a little overtime tonight as we are going to run down all the scores and take a quick look at the playoffs and some standings and some key conferences as well. Let's go ahead and do it right now. Number 1, Gonzaga off tonight. They play tomorrow against Carroll, 2 o'clock start. Number 2, Damascus, big win over Seneca Valley tonight. The 10th ranked team, the 10th ranked Screaming Eagles. Swarming Hornets win 21-3. Jake Funk, 262 on the ground on 40 carries. Number 3, Lake Braddock rolled over Mount Vernon 63-0. Number 4, South County pulled away from West Potomac in the second half, 53-20. Number 5, DeMatha all over O'Connell, 49-7. It was number 6, Old Mill over Meade, 49-6. Number 7, Wise over Bladensburg, 35-0. Number 8, Tuscarora had a bye. They're at number 15, Broad Run next week. Number 9, Westfield over Herndon Big, 48-17. Number 11, Quince Orchard beat Whitman, 48-18. Number 12, St. John's, they're taking on McNamara tomorrow, 2 o'clock start. Number 13, Howard over Glenelg, 28-7. Number 14, Sherwood over Kennedy, 41-14. Number 15, Broad Run upset by Robinson, 31-20. Number 16, Duval taking on Bowie tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Number 17, North Point. They beat Huntingtown tonight, 36-10. It was number 18, Episcopal there at St. Albans, 1 o'clock start tomorrow. Number 19, Good Counsel. They beat St. Mary's Riken 28-7. It was number 20, Champ over Loudoun County, 43-6. In D.C., Ballou beat Anacostia 14-12. It was Bell big over Cardoza, 42-6. Wilson over Coolidge, 14-6. McKinley over Phelps, 23-12. Eastern over Theodore Roosevelt, 14-12. In a big D.C. charter school matchup, it was Cesar Chavez over Kipp, 12-6 in overtime. Private school action, Riverdale Baptist over Pilati, 35-18. Bullis beat St. Stephen St. Agnes, 34-20. In Maryland, Oakland Mills over Atherton, 40-0. Bethesda Chevy Chase blanked Walter Johnson, 34-0 tonight. Elsewhere, it was Watkins Mill over Blake by a count of 42-33. Chesapeake over Southern, 49-19. Chopticon over Leonardtown, 41-14. Wooten over Churchill, 31-12. Northwest blank Clarksburg, 35-0. Blair shut out Einstein, 41-0. Annapolis clinched the playoff berth as they beat Glen Burnie 48-8. St. Charles over Great Mills 42-0. River Hill beat Hammond 35-0. It was Lackey over La Plata 33-26. Elsewhere, Gwynn Park, big win over Largo, 24-12. Marriott's Ridge over Mount Hebron, 42-0. It was North County shutting out Northeast, 33-0. McDonough over Northern, 28-25. Paint Branch, big over Northwood, 54-17. Reservoir over Long Reach, 53-14. It was Richard Montgomery clinching their first playoff berth since 2005, beating Gaithersburg 28-21. Arundel over South River, 55-20. Aberdeen beat Springbrook 42-18. Thomas Stone, big win over Patuxent tonight, 24-14. Calvert edges Westlake 15-12. It was Wild Lake over Centennial, 35-17. Liberty over Brentsville in Virginia, 47-14. Centerville over Chantilly, 37-20. It was Dominion handing Heritage their third straight loss, 27-21. Edison over Lee, 35-20. Oakton beat Falls Church, 41-7. It was Forest Park over Garfield, 29-8. It was Freedom of South Riding beating Riverside, 56-16. Hilton over Riverbend, 31-28. Loudoun Valley knocked off Parkview, 40-29. Madison, close one, but they get the win over Washington Lee, 21-13. George Mason over Madison County, 42-27. Kettle Run over Manassas Park, 48-14. Don't have a score on Marshall and Stewart. If you have it, tweet it to us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. McLean over Fairfax, 27-14. It was Patriot over Osborne Park, 44-23. Brook Point over Potomac of Virginia, 14-12. Stonebridge beat Potomac Falls after Potomac Falls ran out to a 17-0 lead. Bulldogs score the final 20 points, win 20-17. Woodgrove over Rockridge, 63-0. It was South Lakes over Hayfield, 35-14. Battlefield beat Stonewall Jackson 47-16. Annandale shut out TC Williams 21-0. Wakefield blanked Jefferson 42-zip. It was WT Woodson over West Springfield 35-28, and an upset after the tragic fire today at Woodson. Woodson's Cavaliers getting a big win tonight. Woodbridge over Freedom of Woodbridge 47-36, and Langley over Yorktown 48-23. Almost time to go on the show, but let's quickly take a look at our PowerPoint standings as we come out of the night. Coming into the week, Quince Orchard was atop things in Maryland's 4A West, followed by Richard Montgomery and Northwest. All three of those teams win. Gaithersburg lost tonight. Blair did get a win. Of course, Blair, we'll see if they're able to go ahead and catch Gaithersburg. Could be a big one. They may need that one, as Gaithersburg, don't know who they have next week. Blair has a tough one as they're coming up against they'll be taking on Damascus. It's going to be a very tough win for the Blazers there to get, though the points would help them either way. We'll see if they're able to go ahead and get to it. A team like Whitman maybe having a chance, though they won't be able to sneak in there a little bit too far down the ropes, it looks like, to sneak up and catch Blair or Gaithersburg or a team like that. Number 4A South in Maryland, Wise on top of things. They get the win tonight. Sanford Duval, they were in second as they got a win. Big one tomorrow between Roosevelt and Suitland, currently the third and fourth place teams. Duval plays tomorrow. They'll play Bowie, so a big win for Bowie. If they can get it tomorrow, may shoot them up into a playoff berth. They haven't had one in a while. Sherwood won tonight as they were victorious. Bel Air, the team in number 2 in 4A North in Maryland, they won tonight as well, as did Howard, who was 3 coming into the night. Paint Branch also won tonight. Perry Hall, who was just behind Paint Branch, they fell tonight. Mervo, who was in 6th behind Paint Branch, they did win. So Panthers, if they can get a win, but it's a tough one as they're going to be taking on Paint Branch. They will face off, I believe, with Quince Orchard next week. Paint Branch, not an easy task for them, as the Panthers looking to go ahead and make their way into the playoffs. Again, Paint Branch, believe that is a matchup that they are scheduled to have next week against believe we get it right now. We'll bring it up for you. It will be against Quince Orchard, so not an easy one for the Panthers, as the Cougars have been playing some very good ball after that season opening loss to Damascus. Elsewhere, 4A East, Old Mill winner tonight. They were in first. North Point was in second coming into the night. They won, as did Annapolis, who was in third. Broadneck plays tomorrow. Arundel is behind Broadneck, but a good bit behind, so may need 2 losses out of the Bruins headed down the stretch to jump into playoff contention. In Maryland 3A, Linganore on top of Damascus coming into the night. They both win, but Linganore's win not nearly as impressive as Damascus's over Seneca Valley, who was the 3rd seed coming into the night. We'll see how that all breaks down. Oakdale was 4th. Looks, though, that even with a loss, Seneca Valley probably stays on top of them. Not exactly sure. Damascus trying to vault past Linganore into the top seed so they don't have to see Seneca Valley. I think in the first game of the playoffs, I think Coach Wallach knows he'll probably see the Screaming Eagles at some point, but they want to go ahead and space those games out a little bit, as they could play basically 2 games in 3 weeks. Potomac of Maryland was the top seed going into the night going into the weekend, in 3A South. They play tomorrow, followed by Northern, Wheaton, and Rockville. Wheaton did get a win tonight, as they were able to go ahead and move on to a victory. Wheaton with that win tonight, as they were able to get a win. I believe Wheaton played tonight. Well, maybe they didn't play tonight. Maybe that one is tomorrow, one of the many we've got coming up tomorrow. But Wheaton, again, came into the night as the number 3 team in that region, as they were looking to go ahead and stay in that possible playoff spot. And Rockville came in as number 4. Watkins Mill, they did get a win tonight. So Watkins hunting for a playoff spot, maybe sneak up on Rockville and get the win there. I believe actually So that one tomorrow, we'll see exactly how that all breaks down. Rockville and Wheaton actually do play tomorrow. I thought that was right. So they'll play tomorrow. Watkins Mill got the win tonight, so the Wolverines may be able to sneak into a playoff spot there with a win or a playoff position tomorrow. No local teams in 3A North in Maryland. Reservoir on top of things in 3A East. They did win tonight. Glen Elk, who was second, they fell. Chesapeake, Atherton behind them. Atherton did get beat tonight. I believe Chesapeake did end up getting a win in their contest. They did over Southern, so they will likely move up a bit. Wild Lake may be able to overtake Atherton after Atherton lost tonight. 2A, quickly run those down as well. South Carroll was on top of 2A West in Maryland. Marriott's Ridge, Oakland Mills 2 and 3. They both got wins tonight. Patuxent was on top of things in 2A South. They fall tonight. Westlake, they got a win. Largo fell. Calvert won. Actually, Westlake did fall, so Thomas Stone and Calvert, the teams who are 4 and 5, they both will move up likely in the standings. Patuxent and Westlake, who were 1 and 2, they will fall down. Friendly plays tomorrow. They look for a win. Same for Douglas. Gwynn Park was all the way down at 8. They needed to win badly. They get it tonight, so maybe they'll have a chance to move up just a little bit, maybe get into a playoff spot. Also, a quick eye down on some of the local teams in 1A. Of note, in 1A North, where most of them are located, Forestville, Fairmont Heights, and Surrattsville coming to the weekend, 2, 3, and 4. Manchester Valley on top of that region. Quickly want to look at Virginia as we are running a little overtime here on the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. In 6A North coming into the night, it was South County, Lake Braddock, Westfield, and James Madison, your top 4 teams. They all get wins tonight, 5 through 8. Battlefield, West Springfield, Robinson, and West Potomac. Battlefield wins. West Springfield loses in an upset to W.T. Woodson. Robinson beats Broad Run, so they'll move up the rankings a good bit. West Potomac falls to South County. Hayfield and South Lakes were your next two. Hayfield lost to South Lakes tonight. Oakton coming after that. They move up likely with a win. That was followed by Centerville, by Chantilly and Centerville. Of course, Centerville beat Chantilly. Annandale also got a win tonight. So Annandale checked in about 14. I believe Yorktown and Washington Lee were the last 2 teams. Washington Lee, they fall tonight. Yorktown fell as well. Patriot on the outside looking in with they and W.T. Woodson both getting big wins tonight, so they may move up the standings just a little bit. In 6A South in Virginia, 6A South in Virginia. A couple teams, remember, from there in the Woodbridge area. You've got Hilton came into the night. They checked in behind a lot of the teams from the Virginia Beach and Richmond area, but they were checked in at number 8. They get the win tonight. Also, Forest Park, they get a win tonight as well. They were down a little bit around the number 12 spot, so they were trying to look to go ahead and get in. And Woodbridge, of course, was down near the bottom of the rankings. I believe they were in at number 15, but they get a big win tonight over Freedom of Woodbridge. Elsewhere in the 5A South, no teams locally looking like playoff spots there. Of course, not very many teams in that. Number in 5A North, a lot of your Fairfax and Loudoun teams there. Also, a couple teams from Prince William County as well. Tuscarora came into the night as the number 1 team. They did not play, so we'll see where they are. Massaponax was behind them. Brook Point was in 3rd. Broad Run in 4th, but the Spartans will fall likely after their loss tonight. Mountain View was 5. North Stafford 6. Stonebridge 7. They'll likely move up after the win over Potomac Falls, who came into the weekend at 8. Panthers may fall a bit with their loss to Stonebridge. Wakefield was number 9. Wakefield got a win tonight. Down the list a little bit, Briar Woods did not play. The Falcons were a little bit farther down, but still a good chance to go in and get a playoff spot. Potomac in 5A North, unlike a lot of their teams down in that area, they were just on the outside looking in after their loss tonight. Will not help them very much. Elsewhere, also Marshall was in contention as well. Don't know, again, their score, so we'll have to see what they did tonight. May be able to sneak in with a playoff spot. Elsewhere of note, 4A West, John Champ came to the night as the number 1 seed. They go ahead and get a win tonight. over Loudoun County, so they may stay on top. They're followed by some teams from down south, Salem and Jefferson Forest at 2 and 3. Woodgrove at number 4. Woodgrove got a big win tonight, though, against a team in Rockridge who only has 1 or 2 wins on the season, so may not move them up very much. Heritage checked in tonight, coming into the weekend at number 7 in 4A West. They fall tonight, 3rd straight loss, so they may fall down a bit. Loudoun Valley a little bit farther down the list. They were in at number 10. And also Dominion just outside of the playoffs. Remember, this was something that not everybody knew about, or at least not all the public knew about. The folks, what the schools knew, but checking in, Dominion came into the weekend at number 15. That's on the outside looking in at the playoffs, as 4A West only takes 12 teams. It's 4A West in Virginia. They only take 12 teams for their playoffs, and unlike 16, like every other region in Virginia except one does, they'll go ahead and have buys in the first round. So Dominion really needed a win tonight. They get it over Heritage. Should push them up a little bit. It remains to be seen how far up they will go up the standings, but it looks like, at least right now, at least 4 teams from Loudoun County will make those 4A West playoffs. Possibly Dominion could find their way in if they can finish the season out 6 and 4 with their win over Heritage tonight. And that's really it when it comes to your local teams with playoff shots. Not a lot of teams in 3A in the area in the 3A East, where the local Loudoun County teams are in. Not a lot of those guys really looking at playoff spots, even contention right now. So I think a couple teams out of the Evergreen District, the Northwestern District, a little bit farther out in the area. So those teams are not likely to go ahead and get in on playoff contention here. Also, a couple teams of note down in 2A. Got to mention them as well, as George Mason in 2A East having a pretty good season on the year. Mason checking in at now 6-2, believe. Actually 6-2 with a loss. The Sidwell Friends also on their ledger. That doesn't count towards their playoffs. George Mason checking in right now at number 9 in 2A East. So they'll have a chance to make a decent run in the playoffs. May actually end up playing against their rivals from the Bull Run District in Clark County, who are currently on top of that region. May see them in a second-round playoff game if they are lucky enough to advance. Real quick, also want to check in with some of the standings in some of your bigger conferences after tonight, as we're just about to wrap things up after going a little overtime here on the final drive. Again, in the Stars in DCIAA, Wilson's still on top of things. They're the only undefeated team in the DCIAA. In the DCIAA Stripes, it's Bell still on top of things. Public Charter School Athletic Association, Cesar Chavez, they remain undefeated in the team to beat in that league. Elsewhere in the IAC, Episcopal and Georgetown Prep both play tomorrow. They're your 2 undefeated teams there. In the MAC, we heard from Tom Verbanek, head coach of Flint Hill. They look to go ahead and beat Murray tomorrow, setting up maybe a winner-take-all showdown with Sidwell Friends. WCAC after tonight, DeMatha moves to 8-1. They're 5-1 in conference. Gonzaga plays tomorrow. They are 5-0 in conference. Good Counsel at 3-2. St. John's at 4-1 in conference play. Of course, playing tomorrow. We'll also see Carroll playing tomorrow. McNamara the same. I believe those top 4 teams are set, possibly. Especially with Good Counsel's win tonight, I believe that would put them far enough out in front, though I believe maybe a win by McNamara tomorrow over St. John's and maybe a St. John's loss in the season finale against Carroll could actually put McNamara into the playoffs over St. John's. Not positive on that, but I believe that could be the way things would break down. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the final drive, the penultimate final drive of the regular season, as everyone wraps up their regular seasons, or almost everyone wraps up their regular seasons next week. Of course, we'll go into the playoffs this year a little bit. We'll figure out how many teams are left before we'll go ahead and wrap the show up. But want to thank all of our guests on the show tonight. Was another fantastic show as we checked in with 4 different coaches on the broadcast, starting with, we heard from the head coach of the Damascus Swarming Hornets, Eric Wallach, his team with a big win over number 10 Seneca Valley tonight. Also heard from Richard Montgomery head coach Josh Klotz, his team with a big victory over Gaithersburg to clinch their first playoff berth in 10 years. Checked in with South Lakes of Virginia head coach Trey Taylor, his squad with a big win over Hayfield tonight. And Also heard from the legendary Tom Burbanek of Flint Hill School, his team with a big one tomorrow, a big MAC contest against the Frogs of Murray. That's going to do it for our show. Remember, want to give us some feedback, do it at DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. If you're watching this, you can see a replay of the show on DMV Stream on the blog section. Check it out there. Glad to be on with you guys. Thanks to everyone who helped put this show together, all the coaches who joined us. We will see you next week for a flourish at the end of the year. A lot of big games on the slate. Tune in to us next week as we bring you the Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. Good night, everybody.